the opposition has been highlighting significant issues that have been occurring from very early on within the transition.
Have you been speaking to service users and people involved in the service?
We have been inundated by concerns and concerns about issues that have been occurring very early on with the transitions. And the reality is that we have expressed these concerns both outside and in Parliament, and throughout this transition, and on the occasions where we have expressed these concerns, very often the Minister has tried to dodge responsibility by directing us, when we have asked questions, to Lifecome Care. Now, let me make this very clear again, as I have several times in Parliament. This is a £3.8 million contract, which is funded by the government, which is paid for by the hard-working Gibraltarian taxpayer, for services that are provided for our elderly and some of the most vulnerable in this community. The ultimate responsibility for this contract and for these services lies with the government of Gibraltar, and they are accountable for this contract. And so the questions need to be answered by the Minister and by the government. And this is what we have been demanding all throughout this process.
Because it involves some of the most vulnerable members of a community, and because it's a sensitive issue, can you blame the government for not wanting to have had a debate out in public?
The tender was awarded in June 2024, and the transfer of services happened in September. But there was a crucial window between June and September where preparations and mechanisms should have been put in place to ensure that these issues, which were dismissed by the Minister as teething issues, did not occur. And to point to one example, in October, we highlighted that employees of the previous companies were being transferred to Lifecome Care without Lifecome Care having even been awarded a business license, a local business license by the OFT. I mean, that just shows the lack of oversight. The complaints continued, the issues continued, and assurances were never met. Even as late as February the 3rd, the Minister claimed that the complaints were going down, that service levels had not deteriorated, satisfaction levels remained high. 7 days later, only 7 days later, the government had to write to Lifecome Care informing them that they were not satisfied with the standard of care that they had provided.
But again, because these are contractual arrangements, there are complications behind the scenes. You can't say certain things publicly, even though you're committed to being transparent. But at the same time, you have contractual obligations yourself as the government to not say certain things out in public until you're able to.
Well, I think it's important to note that the Minister has refused to provide information in Parliament. She has refused to answer questions in Parliament and directed us to Lifecome Care. Yet less than 24 hours later, she is comfortable to come on to GBC and provide more information to a GBC reporter than she is willing to provide in Parliament. There are certain things in relation to that contract that can be shared without going into personal details and without going into details that breaches on data protection of any individual. And I think people deserve to know what exactly has happened in relation to this, and why the contractual obligations haven't been met, and what the government has done to ensure that mechanisms have been put in place. Because look, we are in a situation where we are hearing something from the union, something from Lifecome Care, and we are hearing something from the government. And I think it is imperative now that we hear what is going to be done, and what steps are going to be taken immediately and urgently to address the issue moving forward. Because what service users and relatives and care workers have been, what they're facing now is another layer of uncertainty. They've been plunged into another phase of uncertainty in relation to what's going to happen next in the area of domiciliary care and home support.